Shares of Tesla and General Motors both in the green this year as the electric vehicle race accelerates. But according to our CNBC proprietary index of innovation, GM is capitalizing on its intellectual property and pulling ahead of its competitor. For more on this, we're joined by David Martin, founder of MCAM, the firm that calculates the IQ 100 index for us. David, good to see you. Thanks for being here this morning.
Great to see you.
I guess let's just start off by describing your methodology and what brings you to this conclusion that GM's intellectual property and its ability to capitalize on it now exceeds that of Tesla.
Well, I think you got to look at a couple things. First of all, back in 1993, GM started looking at the whole question not only of electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles, but how the consumer was going to interact with them. So they were thinking about this a lot longer than Tesla's even been around. And as you look at the overall scoring methodology of how we look at innovation, we are actually looking at a little bit at a tortoise and hare situation here. There has been a lot of trial and error that GM has been engaged in over the years, but what they've done is they've started refining what their innovation focus is. And rather than trying to be all things to all people, what they're doing is they're focusing on their core competencies, where Tesla is really taking a much broader view and a more generalist view. And that puts GM in a position of controlling a lot of the points around which the actual commerce of electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles are going to take place.
Yeah, this does get to one of the criticisms of Tesla as a business, as an investment, which is that its technology is not necessarily proprietary to itself. It's using batteries, for example, engineered by others. But does Tesla not have an ability and a brand that can derive value out of all that in excess of what some of the other electric vehicle makers have tried so far?
You know, it's a great question, and I think when it comes to the actual body of the car, the frame and the core components, Tesla and GM may be very much in a lockstep with each other. But I'll tell you where GM really breaks out. They've actually thought about the consumer as an actual driver, as an actual experience. And what you find is that GM has covered innovation around the actual charging stations, the distribution, the power, the interface. One of the critical things that GM has been focusing on is anticipating human behavior. How do people spend money at charging stations? How do they actually do the e-commerce of autonomous vehicles? How do they navigate? How do they deal with crazy drivers that aren't in autonomous vehicles? Those are all things that GM has really built some core competencies around. And once again, Tesla and GM may put the same car on the road, but GM is focused on the entirety of the experience, all the way from their own management of supply chain, where they don't feel like they have to invent everything. They don't have to have all the sensors. They don't have all the circuits. But they've focused on the core things about consumer safety, consumer experience. And at the end of the day, GM has paid more attention to the human, and Tesla has paid more attention to the brand.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.